wish I was in school.
If only I had a math test today. I'll stay after class.
I'll clean the chalkboard.
I wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summer meals for help.
Hi, I'm Mayor Frank Jackson. You've probably seen media coverage of the growing opioid epidemic in northeastern Ohio. But what you might not know is how many of these tragedies begin with a seemingly innocent prescription for pain medication. That is why we're teaming with the Cuyahoga County Opiate Marketing Task Force to encourage you to know the risk. Go to the website on your screen to learn which pills are opiates and alternative ways of dealing with pain. Which starts as a prescription can end with addiction, so know the risk.
Good evening, everybody. Wow, there we are. Hello, how's everybody doing this evening? Wonderful, wonderful. I'm Jeff Kirkchin, the morning host on Cleveland's Q104, the Jeremiah and Jeff Show, and I'm proud to be here this evening. I have no credibility on what we're going to be speaking about tonight, besides the fact that I love Cleveland. I did not go to business school. A friend of mine is in the program that's putting this on, and he asked me to host this event, and this is the first ever event I was unsure how to pronounce when I was asked to host it. I've hosted the Cupid Zundy Run, that's an easy one, the Cleveland APL benefit, also an easy one, and then there's this one. PechaKucha. Let's go with that. Are we good with that? No. All right, we're in the PechaKucha? PechaKucha? I've heard them all. I have heard them all. Whatever Mayor Frank Jackson says, I say we all just go with it at that point, because we all trust him. Speaking of, our mayor is here, Mayor of Cleveland. Give him a round of applause. We've got a great lineup of speakers for you this evening. I want to thank all of John Carroll for having us, the university, all of our students, faculty, staff, parents, friends, family, for being here as well to support such a great cause. This entire event was completely planned and coordinated, executed by the first semester MBA students. So let's give them a round of applause for being here. Of course, we'd like to thank our sponsors as well for sponsoring this event, helping us put on that wonderful cocktail hour that I did not get to participate in, by the way. So if there's a bottle of wine back there when I get finished here, it's probably a lot of big words I'm not going to understand. Might help me out a little bit. So without further ado, let's get things kicked off here with Dean Mikiak. I want to welcome him up here. He is the Dean of the Boulder School of Business to kick things off this evening.
Well, thank you, Jeff. So we've never had, a DJ, right, to lead off an event at the Boulder School. And I have to say, whiskey is a first, too, if any of you have tried the Tullamore Dew. It was not too bad, actually. So it's my pleasure to welcome you to John Carroll University on behalf of the Boulder School of Business and our great cohort 19, is that what they're calling themselves, right? In the MBA program. They put a great event for you, together for you tonight. So this PechaKucha, okay, so I decided I would do my welcome in PechaKucha format. So you're going to have 4 slides, 20 seconds a slide, 80 seconds, and I'm gone. And so PechaKucha, though, as I was reading it out on the internet, right? In the academic world, we always rename things and then pretend like they're new, okay? So this PechaKucha format is really what, in my day, we called it the 3 Bs, okay? Be brief, be great, and be gone, okay? Which is just get your message out and move away from the stage. You guys didn't laugh at that, right? You don't want me to keep going? Okay, I'll have to come up with a better third B, I guess. So, in business education and in leadership, which is our theme tonight, there are two massive forces. One is a big mindset change that's coming with this millennial group and the group that follows them, the Generation Z. They're inheriting the leadership mantle as the largest cohort moving through the U.S. population. I'm a tail end baby boomer, right? I get a short stay in Florida on my way to the cemetery, okay? And so I know there are a few of you, but we're turning over the reins. The second piece is the macro environment, which has changed so much. So we have rapid globalization, rapid and disruptive technology, and really this notion of business measuring its impacts on scarce resources, human impacts, and how do we create sustainable value. So these are two big things, mindset and macro environment changing in a big way. So this is really talking about how do we change a mindset, and then how do we change leadership education, business education. So I can tell you that no successful organization, right, has ever had a leader that didn't care, right, who wasn't deeply concerned about their organization and their organization's mission and vision. And in fact, some very formerly successful organizations, find themselves in disrepair because they have leaders that didn't care, right, about what they're doing. So a big part of leadership education really is this new understanding, not about just how to create, profit or how to create wealth for shareholders, but how do we create economic wins, economic justice, along with social justice and environmental justice. And we're very lucky to have a lot of leaders who care here tonight, including the mayor of our great city. And so the final point is when we talk about great leadership and people who care. So tonight, you're going to hear for 6 people, 20 slides, 20 seconds, their vision about what they care about in this great city of Cleveland. And how do we innovate and develop and make it a great place for everyone in terms of diversity, economic diversity, social diversity, and progress, right? In the sense of a great city that has, was a powerhouse of the industrial age and is now moving into the new economy of the 21st century. So, I've done it. Jeff, have I done it?
Yes.
80 seconds? I didn't hear a beeper.
On the dot.
On the dot, yes. Thank you to Professor Allen. It's good to be the boss sometimes. So again, it's my pleasure to welcome you. I hope you enjoy the presentations, and I look forward to sharing some insights with you after we're done. Thank you very much.
That was brief, great, and the other B. He's gone. Right, that was it. You can still see him, but you get the picture. You leave the stage. I would like to welcome up now Mike Parks, the CEO of Northeast Ohio American Red Cross, partner of the 2019 MBA cohort. Mike.
Well, thank you there, DJ. It's great to be here. And am I going to screw this up if I take this off? Okay, I just can't stand by the podium. Dean, great to see you. Mr. Mayor, obviously, great to have you here. My opportunity tonight is to really share a couple thoughts as the CEO of the American Red Cross here in Northeast Ohio. I have a few things to share with you. I'll be brief, and I won't be gone, but I will certainly press on. So really what I want to share with you is some ideas about how to become a volunteer. If I have an opportunity to talk to a group like this, I want to let you know that this is an opportunity for us to really talk about what impact you can have here on our community and the greater good. So, most importantly, the mission of the Red Cross, simply stated, this is on everything that we brand Our mission is really about preventing and alleviating human suffering in the face of emergencies. We prevent it as much as we can. We try to alleviate it every day. And we do this really through the power of our volunteers and our donors. And that is really what the Red Cross is all about. You know, the Dean said something about caring. I will tell you, the volunteers in the Red Cross, which make up 93% of the Red Cross workforce, 93% of the work done by the Red Cross is done by volunteers. And they care and they show up. Just like all of you. You obviously care and you obviously showed up because you're here. The fundamental principles of the Red Cross, one of the things that's really important about these principles is they're universal throughout the Red Cross societies. They're not just the American Red Cross principles, they're the principles for all of the Red Cross societies in the network, and that's something we hold dear. 5 lines of service, I won't spend a lot of time on each of them, but it's important to understand that these are the 5 major areas that the American Red Cross supports. Whether it's service to the armed forces, international activities, whether we do disaster relief. Everybody thinks of the Red Cross as being flood and mud. Obviously, our biomedical services and collecting blood, and our preparedness, health, and safety. And I would tell you that most of you probably have a Red Cross story, or at least know someone who does, because you've either given blood or known someone who's received blood. You have either seen somebody who's had a disaster or some kind of event. This past year has been one of the most remarkable years of disaster relief in our country's history. So that is your Red Cross each and every day out there working. This just kind of tells you what we do every day. Can you believe that every 60 seconds, 23 people are impacted by the Red Cross? This is your Red Cross at work. 14,000 times a day, people that receive blood that's been donated by the Red Cross network. So, more importantly, here in Northeast Ohio, each and every day in your community, your Red Cross is there. Each and every day. On average in Northeast Ohio, there are 3 families that suffer a home fire. More people die from home fires every year throughout the country than all other natural disasters combined. I want you to know something about that. And Mr. Mayor, you and I have talked about this, and you've been an incredible supporter. We have a partnership with the Cleveland Division of Fire, where here in Northeast Ohio, 25 years ago, we started a program called Operation Save a Life, where we partnered with the fire department because at one point they were losing 37 lives on average a year here in the greater Cleveland area, years ago. This program, we install free smoke alarms in communities. That number is down to single digits. Now, not only because of that program, but that program, 3 years ago, the Red Cross made it go nationwide. And in those last 3 years, we've installed over 1 million alarms throughout the country. And we've saved more than 300 lives because of that program that started right here in Cleveland 25 years ago. So that's what your Red Cross is doing each and every day. Obviously, there's opportunities to volunteer in all these lines of service. You'll see them behind me. Those are just different opportunities for you to be part of the American Red Cross. Different areas, whether you're a blood ambassador helping to collect blood and make that, every pint of blood we collect helps up to 3 lives. So if you can give blood, we encourage you to do that. Do you know that only 30% of the population can give blood, and only 6% of that population does? So that's why, if you're able to give blood, please do. You are giving the gift of life. Sorry. Service to the armed forces. We have a mandate to exist. We have a congressional mandate. There is a charter from Congress. We don't get a congressional appropriation, but we are required to exist, and we are required to help service members around the country. They come home to their families and loved ones because of the American Red Cross Network. That's something we do. And obviously, these are, I learned how to swim with the Red Cross. I was a lifeguard with the Red Cross. My daughters took first aid and babysitting classes with the Red Cross. It's all over, and that's something we do, and you can volunteer to be one of these instructors and help people save lives. Internationally, we've almost eradicated the world from measles because of the immunization program around the world. Something you don't hear about, but that's something that your Red Cross is doing. There's certainly other volunteer opportunities for you, whether that's just administrative work or acting as an ambassador for us in many ways. Here's one challenge I would make to you. Red Cross Club. There is not a Red Cross Club here This is an organization that can help promote this entity that I have now signed on to. And I will tell you, the fact that there is not a Red Cross Club here at John Carroll is unacceptable. And I challenge this group to change that. I will work with you tirelessly to do that. There should be a Red Cross Club right here at John Carroll. There's certainly other opportunities for people in corporations to use their services as well. And one of the things that people, and I know that I probably was part of this generation at one point too, with them. What's in it for me? Why do I care? Why does this do something for me? And I think everybody in this room, certainly the people in the front row, can tell you that when they felt bad about themselves, the best thing they can do is help someone else. When you're serving other people, your problems seem to be far less important. And that's one of the best things you can do, as well as partner with wonderful people. So, in closing, I will just offer, this is a great opportunity. I have some cards here if people are interested in learning more about this great organization. But it's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to work with this cohort. And it is now my privilege to introduce our next speaker, a man who needs no introduction in this city, our 56th mayor, the person who will be our longest serving mayor next year, and someone who told me that he loves to give back, and this is his way of doing it. It's my pleasure to introduce our mayor, Mayor Frank Jackson.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And, inspiring Cleveland and doing it through leadership. Cleveland has become a successful city. We've become a successful city, and it wasn't easy. We had to overcome a lot of obstacles, deal with a lot of things in order to become successful. But Cleveland is not yet a great city. It's not yet a great city because we still have significant challenges left to overcome. And when we look at those challenges are basically not about economic development. They're not about the structures that we build, not about sports teams or championships. They're not about those kind of things. They're really the challenges for us, the challenge to us to make Cleveland a great city is all about people. It's all about people. And what it means is a great city will be measured by what we do for the least of us. And I'm not talking about welfare and charity. If that came to your mind, then you just missed the point. We're talking about how does everyone get incorporated into not just the opportunity, but the actuality of prosperity and quality of life. How can we all participate in the success of Cleveland? And that's a significant challenge because it's contrary to the way in which the system works in many ways. But if we're going to be a great city, we have to do that. And as the dean said, that we are in a constantly changing world with different dynamics. Example, and I know in the private sector it's probably true also, but today in the public sector, make a good decision, right policy decision 6 months from now is kicking your butt. And if you're not fluid and flexible enough to adjust and have in mind and focus on the purpose and the mission for which you're there, leadership, to guide whatever organization you have into that position to make it a great organization. And in this case, for me, the city. And greatness for this city is the well-being of all of its citizens and in the quality of life and in the prosperity we create. So I'll be here to listen to everybody else, and as we move forward, I'll welcome you to stay in Cleveland when you finish your degree, and then to stay focused on making Cleveland a great city. Thank you very much.
All right, so I forgot to mention this in the beginning. Don't forget to silence your cell phones, no texting, no calling. I know there's some college students here, no Tindering. Don't need any swiping there. Okay, let's go over one more time why we're here. PechaKucha, they're going to get 20 slides in 20 seconds, okay, which is totaling to 6 minutes and 40 seconds, and yes, I did that math in my head right here. Now, I just want to let you know, Mayor Frank Jackson, you were 3 seconds over, all right? So that is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I also came up with just a couple more rules. There will be no costume changes during your presentations. Looking at you, Mike. No tap numbers, unless directly pertaining to what you're talking about, of course. And no mohawks. We're business in the front and business also in the back. Okay, so let's get started, everybody. I need a little comic relief, okay? Let's get ready. Who's excited for some fun? We're here. We're inspiring Cleveland. We're inspiring CLE. One great speaker at a time, and no man better than Mayor Frank Jackson to kick us off. I'm excited right now to introduce Matt Gable. And Matt is part of the Equity Trust Company in Westlake, and currently an MBA student here at John Carroll. Matt, coming up.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. So, as you may have heard, this event was given to us as a final project for our MBA leadership class. The idea being that a high-pressure situation to complete a large project would force us to practically utilize the leadership skills that we have been studying all semester. So, not only did we have to create this unique event, but we were given a list of 50 additional tasks that our professor called a 1,000-piece puzzle. Now, some of these tasks were pretty mundane, such as use technology to meet. Others were far more complicated. For example, we had to have someone flown in from out of state and have a Fortune 500 CEO participate. This was our reaction. We read over the tasks and realized we had no money, limited expertise, and very little time to make this a reality. So, it's about that bad. It's pretty chaotic. Lucky number 18 on that task list was a requirement that we discuss 15 reasons that Cleveland is a great place to live and raise a family. Now, thankfully, Cleveland is a pretty special place, and the real challenge was narrowing it down to only 15 after starting with about 50. So I wanted to start with easy commuting. There are a few things I hate more than being stuck in traffic. So thankfully, Cleveland's a pretty easy place to get around. Yes, we have traffic jams like any other major city, but it's nothing compared to New York or LA. And the bottom picture here is actually, that's Los Angeles on Thanksgiving Eve. Looks like fun. Cleveland's also generally free from natural disasters. We do have the cold spells and the blizzards and such, but we don't have earthquakes to the magnitude of Italy, the hurricanes, or the fires that we're actually presently seeing in LA. That's a current picture. That's literally this week. One of my favorite things about Cleveland is the metro parks. I lived in New York City for a while, and I can honestly say that I'd take the Rocky River Reservation over Central Park any day. In 2016, the Metro Parks won the National Gold Medal Award for Excellence in Park and Recreation Management. So bravo. Cleveland also has many, many unique neighborhoods, and each one of them has their own style and identity. I always thought it was interesting how you could cross a couple bridges from downtown to Tremont, and you would feel like you were in an entirely different city. Also love the architecture. Cleveland also has the best healthcare in the world. If I were to name one thing about Cleveland that I personally take for granted, it would be our hospitals. People travel from all over the globe for life-saving treatment at these institutions, and we're lucky enough to have them in our own backyard. The Cleveland Clinic still ranks first in the nation in cardiac care, and they've moved up to second in the nation overall. Cleveland also has great neighbors. We're a great place, but that's due in part to some wonderful neighboring cities. Akron and Canton are both really fantastic places in their own right, and these cities have some one-of-a-kind attractions. Namely, there's Cedar Point in Sandusky, and there's the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. affordability. If you read any article about Cleveland, the first thing that they mention is how affordable it is to live here. So this is actually a real example. On the top, we have a real New York City studio apartment. It costs only $1,500. And the lower one is a nice 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's actually in the Standard Building. We also have outstanding higher education. Cleveland and the surrounding region is home to 29 institutions of higher learning with approximately 175,000 students. These institutions are not only economic drivers, but they attract top talent to our city, which is important to retaining businesses and employers. And with those universities, we have a young, well-educated workforce. A recent study by the Center for Population Dynamics at Cleveland State University stated that Cleveland has the 8th highest growth rate in the nation for educated young people aged 25 to 34. So these young people are moving to the city because they recognize the opportunities that Cleveland offers. And these are some of those opportunities. According to a recent CNBC study, the state of Ohio has the 16th best business climate in the nation. And according to Bankrate.com, Cleveland ranks 3rd in America for best cities for personal wealth growth. So Cleveland is a great city to grow your business or your career. And of course, if we're talking about Cleveland, we're going to have to talk about the food. I feel like we need to also give some credit to these two chefs, Mike Simon and Jonathan Sawyer. Cleveland is on every magazine's shortlist in the way of best food cities, and to be specific, we were named the 7th best food city in America by Travel and Leisure. And if we're going to talk about the food, we're going to have to also talk about the beer. According to the Ohio Craft Brewers Association, Ohio is adding 40 new breweries a year. But it's not just the quantity of breweries, it's the quality. For this reason, Travel and Leisure ranked Cleveland 4th in the nation for its best beer cities. Number 3, Playhouse Square, the largest performing arts center in the US outside of New York City. They have 10 performance spaces with 5 full theaters and put out more than 1,000 events per year. On top of that, according to Destination Cleveland, approximately 1 million people visit Playhouse Square every year. So it's also an important economic driver. And they're not the only show in town. We also have the Cleveland Orchestra, which is one of the big 5 in America and one of the best orchestras in the world. We have the Cleveland Museum of Art, which was named the 2nd best museum in the United States by Business Insider magazine. It's also free, which is a rarity in itself. And we have the one and only Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum. Oh, and Milk is up there too. Last but not least, we have our teams. We are very fortunate to have 3 professional sports franchises in our city. We're home to the Indians, who are dominant in the American League Central, the Cavaliers, who are likely on their way to their 4th straight finals appearance, knock on wood, and the Browns to keep us humble. I can say from experience, growing up in Cleveland, there's something special about being a Cleveland sports fan. You're always the underdog. You're never the favorite to win, and yet you go out and fight every season. To me, that type of mentality really defines the spirit of our city. And that's really what I want to leave you with. Cleveland does have amazing museums, great schools, fantastic communities, great teams. We have so much to offer and so much more. But that's not really what makes this place so special. It's the spirit, determination, and the character of the people that live here that makes Cleveland such a great city. Thank you very much for your time.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're here inspiring CLE, so let's keep it moving with more of Cleveland's own. I'm honored to introduce unanimously appointed to represent Ward 3, that's downtown Tremont, Ohio City, Flats, and portion of Clark Fulton Stockyards. It's Karen McCormick. You also represent me. I live downtown Cleveland, so this is I have some things I want to talk to you about after this.
You got it.
But all good things.
You know, I have to update my bio because I just won my re-election by 85% of the vote too. So, there's the ward. All right. Also, I have to put one disclaimer out here. If my slideshow looks a little homemade, that's because I made it this afternoon, which is one lesson why you read the notes and the calendar invite from your assistant to see what kind of presentation you're making today. So, All right, so here we are in Cleveland. In Cleveland, I always like to start pre-European because sometimes we think of our history through a lens of when the Europeans got there, and that's not quite fair. So in the 1500s, Native Americans started to permanently live in the area, building communities, growing crops, and participating in the fur trade, and life thrived. There's Cleveland. Isn't she beautiful? That's also the head of my Twitter profile. In July 22nd, 1796, this guy up here, Moses Cleveland, sent a survey party. They came over to Cleveland, which was the first contact of Europeans here in Cleveland. Understandably so, the Native Americans were not too excited about that, and some of the folks really spoke out against that over concern of European colonialism. There we are. So transportation and industrial strength really spurred economic development and population growth in Cleveland, leading to lots of immigration here and growth. This is the Ohio-Erie Canal. Some other examples, you'll know the name Mather, and at one point 28% of our workforce was in the steel industry. So that was a huge lead into the population growth here in the city of Cleveland. In the 1950s, early 1950s, the population in Cleveland peaked at 1 million people. This is a picture of a lot of people on the Guardians of Transportation. So we peaked in 1950 at about 1 million people. Post that point, we actually saw quite a bit of population loss. This is not only due to job loss, but also due to the large-scale suburbanization and sprawl, which is one example here. I believe this is 1990, that we experienced here in Cleveland. So a lot of folks moved into the suburbs after the war. Freeways were built out, transportation options were made easier, which led a lot of the city neighborhoods into vacancy, into a really bad situation. So also as a footnote, every time I couldn't find a good picture, I put a cute picture of my dog in here. So that's what you're going to see there. But so folks started to fight back, though, over the years, and folks started to reinvest in their neighborhoods and really start to really take a passion in their communities, as many people had done for a while, but people were starting to get an interest in the urban core again. So what did that look like? That wasn't just people that drink $6 beers moving into that new apartment. We had folks that were concerned about social services in the community, that were concerned about social justice, that moved back into our urban neighborhoods, invested in our communities. We had folks that came in that were arts-oriented and could find cheap rent. So in addition to the already existing folks that were living in the neighborhood, we saw an increased interest of folks moving into the city. Another great part of that for the neighborhoods on the near west side and the ward I represent is we saw a lot of historic renovation. So leading to actually a landmarks district and historic areas throughout the near west side of the city of Cleveland. These are some pretty houses in Ohio City, and that really led to some of the preservation of the historic housing stock on the near west side, which is such a special part of our ward. In addition, 1,800 housing units in demand on the near west side of the city of Cleveland, thousands on waiting lists in downtown Cleveland. The Standard's a great project, and rooms are still available. So we started to see new build, and we're seeing this more and more today. 97% occupancy rate in downtown Cleveland. But what about affordability? Thanks to the mayor of the city of Cleveland and other folks, we saw investment in affordable housing as well. This is Tremont Point. This is a great example of affordable mixed income housing for folks that have been in our community that maybe can't afford the market rate expenditure. So we've seen a lot of examples of affordable housing that have come up into our neighborhood. Another cute picture of my dog right there. But we also wanted to find opportunity for folks. So we're seeing more and more companies coming online, and as we heard earlier, the diversity of our economy and how important that is to the future of our community. So we saw places like Mitchell's Ice Cream and Platform Brewery, the second mention to Platform tonight. That's kind of fun. But what's important about these is they hire local folks, they pay well above minimum wage, they give benefits, and they're connected on transit lines. So if you're a person that doesn't have a car and can't afford one, you can make it to these jobs. So we're seeing more and more local companies in Cleveland start and grow, and that's important because they hire local folks and people can get to them. Another important part, though, is we can build great neighborhoods, we can have shiny things, we can have job opportunities, but if folks aren't coming together around meaningful community building, what are we doing? Near West Recreation was 67 kids in 2012. Today serves over 1,000 kids. If you can't pay, you don't pay, you play anyway. It has over, I think, 12 sports now. But also getting around in connectivity. This is tough. Up on the screen is a great example of what was just funded. $6 million from NOACA just funded this project. This is the Lorraine Avenue streetscape, and Mayor Jackson actually invested an unprecedented over $2 million in this project, which will go from 20th to 65th, putting in buffered bike lanes and multimodal equitable transportation options for Clevelanders. Another great example of that, we're seeing more and more emphasis on bike infrastructure, more and more emphasis on multimodal transit, on human-friendly mechanisms to get around the city. So whether you're on that $1,200 fancy hipster bike or you commute to work because you can't afford a car, this type of infrastructure is good. Arts and cultural renaissance in the city of Cleveland. So we have these amazing legacy assets, and more we're having the conversation of how do we tap into them, connect into them, and connect the arts and cultural institutions into our communities. On the Near West Side, things like Spaces Art Gallery, the Transformer Station, and more on and on. Also, how do we bring them into the community? Open, free events that attract people of all different backgrounds. Ohio City Stage is here on the bottom, and up here is La Placita, down in the Clark Fulton area. So really taking the soul, the arts, and the culture of our community and bringing them out into open community events for everyone to enjoy. This is sponsored by the Cleveland Museum of Art below. We've seen a lot of renaissance in the city of Cleveland. We've got a long way to go. But how do we feel about ourselves? And really what we're seeing now is through the marketing of the city of Cleveland, through feedback from people not only that are visiting, but longtime residents. We're seeing an increase in our self-awareness of what we have here in Cleveland and the benefits. Another cute picture of my dog. So we're starting to feel better about what we know those assets are here in the city of Cleveland, what we know we're special about, and we're starting to be proud about that and wearing that on our sleeve and talking to the world about it. But I think that's about it. I think my Twitter handle and my email is about to pop up. If I'm right here, he shouldn't be sitting on the couch, by the way. So there I am. So I'd love to hear from anyone if you're interested, but we're excited about the future of the city of Cleveland. There's a lot of hard work to do, but there's a lot of great stuff going on. And thank you so much for having me tonight.
I just tweeted a very uncomfortable selfie of the two of us. You didn't even know I was taking it, so would appreciate the retweet. Moving forward, that was wonderful. All of these people so inspirational to our great city. It really is great. And another shout out to this MBA class for getting all of these incredible speakers here tonight under one roof to talk about the one thing we love the most, and that's our great city of Cleveland. Let's keep moving forward with, I'm honored to introduce TJ Asher, the president of Weston Acquisitions and Development Group. They're recognizing downtown Cleveland's potential. We've heard so much about the affordable living and how many people are moving downtown, myself included, not being a Clevelander and moving to Cleveland because of the exciting things happening in Cleveland these days. TJ is leading Weston's efforts in the redevelopment of the historic Standard Building, transforming the architectural gem into housing and upscale retail for the growing market. He's also changing Cleveland's footprint by developing and transforming 2 city blocks into brand new mixed-use neighborhood. I'm proud to introduce TJ Asher.
All right, well, thank you very much. My name's TJ Asher, and as I was just introduced, I'm the president of Weston Acquisitions and Development. For those of you that don't know, Weston is a real estate company that owns and develops real estate. We have 12 million square feet of space, and we're in about 8 states. Today is about Cleveland, about Cleveland's progress, and I'd like to just start out with a little story about Weston, because Weston got started in Cleveland, and Weston is very much entrenched in a part of Cleveland and everything that's going on, and all these great things that everybody's talking about are things that Weston is very proud of. And Weston is a family-run organization. It was started by my father, and in '71 he bought a building located in the warehouse district in downtown Cleveland. At the time, the building was dilapidated. It wasn't in very good shape. He ended up tearing the building down, and 6 months later, the city announced the Justice Center being built. And at the time, that was viewed as a very visionary purchase. if you talk to my father about it, he'll tell you how lucky he was that he really, and it worked out. So that parking lot I'm going to get back to in a second as I go through my presentation here. Our company grew by buying older industrial real estate, and because Cleveland was a manufacturing town and had a lot of manufacturing and it was going through some various transitions, there was a lot of this space available. Clevelanders needed, they were very entrepreneurial, and they needed inexpensive space to be able to operate their businesses. As larger companies were closed down, these people had ideas, they were entrepreneurial, they wanted to start businesses. Weston would take older industrial facilities, they would multi-tenant them and make them economically viable again. And that was, at the time, and as the dean said, the way we would add value. Today that's called value add. It's the same thing, it's just, it's got some fancier terms now, and that's where Weston really has its roots. So you fast forward to today, the last many years, 15 years or so, Cleveland's had its metamorphosis. The millennials are here, the generation X's and Z's and all the letters that go along with those folks are all here, and our culture is changing, and there's a movement to go back urban. In the old days it was you went out to the suburbs, and now people are coming back and they're living urban. It's been years in the making, all of this. This just doesn't happen overnight. You begin to see all the different events and all the different recognitions that come along with Cleveland. There's the RNC, there's the gay games, there's the Cavs winning championships and so on. And Cleveland is beginning to get a lot of recognition. And as some of the other speakers have said, you've noticed some of these items. And in particular, the National Geographic, out of 21 places, Cleveland ranked 14th out of places to visit. So it's really getting recognized as a place to be, a place to go visit, for tourism and everything. And it's getting to be very exciting. And why not? I mean, look at everything that everybody's been talking about. Our metro parks, we're the second largest arts community. Public Square was just redone. We got a nationally recognized public square. It's incredible if you haven't been there. Those are the types of things that's making Cleveland just a phenomenal place to be. And it's changing all the time. With all the developments that are happening and all the efforts of everybody that's going on, Cleveland's really has been changing. I really appreciate whoever put it up, the picture of the Standard Building, Matt, wherever you got that picture, that was phenomenal, so thanks for that shout out. But in 2014, Weston bought the Standard Building. The Standard Building was an office building that was built in 1924. It was built by the Brotherhood of Locomotive and Trainsmen Engineers, and we purchased the building from them. We happen to be the second owner of the building, as incredible as that is. It was phenomenal. The deed was actually handwritten, so that's how long ago that was. We saw opportunity. Weston is a very entrepreneurial company. You saw what was going on in Cleveland. We seized the opportunity to redevelop it into 281 apartments, and that is coming online here. It's opening up in January, and we're very excited. It was a tough deal. There's a lot that goes into these deals, and when you see these big projects happening, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. I mean, we bought the building in 14. We couldn't really start construction until 16. There's just so much going on. In large part, historic tax credits are a very big part of the redevelopments that happen in this town. Historic tax credits enable you to basically bring back the historic character of the building. And in a building such as ours, there's a lot of historic character. There's all kinds of Art Deco type of architecture in there. And because of certain programs, the help of all the capital stack, all the financing alternatives that are out there, and the tax credits, you're able to restore the historic fabric of the building, which is really a gem. And all the other properties where people have used these, it's really amazing to see. You know, just to mention, the facility is going to have all the modern amenities. So you get all the historic aspects of it, and then you add in the modern amenities. So it's going to have, you know, all the dog parks and the community spaces and the, you know, what all the different spaces, bike racks and things for people of today and where people are coming from. So it's no question that Cleveland is on the rise. And, you know, I was born in Cleveland, raised in Cleveland, my whole family, and nobody wants to leave. I mean, there's just way too much going on. If you bring a guest or you talk to people from out of town, they will say how incredible Cleveland really is. You know, nobody realizes it until they get here. You get them here and they're like, wow. I just happened to be with some people who are moving in from California. I mean, I don't know why everybody doesn't move in from California. I mean, you know, fires and mudslides and earthquakes, you got everything going on. But there's just so much going on that the people, when they see what's going on in Cleveland and everything that's happening, it really makes a big impact on everybody. So, thank you.
Thank you, TJ. Thank you so much. Our next guest in our PechaKucha event, once again, is PechaKucha, not She's Kinda Cuta. Cleveland, they just keep coming, guys. I'm sorry. Like, I'd sit there and I'm like, oh, I write them down. Just another stupid joke. Okay. I would like to introduce Phyllis Harris. A Cleveland native, Phyllis Seven Harris has nearly 2 decades of leadership experience in local nonprofits, includes program management and development, fundraising, and senior level executive positions for many, many years. She also has played a strong role as an advocate in Cleveland's LGBT community. Please welcome Phyllis Harris.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's quite a distinguished panel, and my 20 seconds are happening. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about the LGBT Community Center. And if you are a Clevelander, I think you should be proud that we have an LGBT Community Center that was established in 1975 and that is doing great for the people of Cleveland. I'm going to fast forward from 1975 till tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be breaking ground on a brand new 14,000 square foot, 2-story LGBT community center right in Gordon Square, the heart of where it's happening for us, where we're proud to be for the last 20 years and will be going forward. The amenities of this new facility include street-level accessibility, which we don't have currently. It includes triple the amount of space for programming and activities that we had before. It includes a visible and vibrant environment for us to live and thrive and contribute to our good city, Cleveland. This is what the center looked like when I first got there. It doesn't mean that there weren't things going on at the center, but it meant that we took this space and used it very well since we moved there from West 29th Street, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, in 2000. You can come to the center for a cup of coffee. I love coffee, so one of the things that I did when I first got to the center is I made sure that there was free coffee for everyone because I liked it, but also to indicate that this is an affirming and safe place for everyone who would seek shelter or a place to be welcomed and affirmed in Cleveland. We are a place where social activities happen, so not only are we there to support and advocate and provide a safe place, but we're also there to celebrate the LGBT community. This is our senior prom, so not like our senior prom in high schools, but our seniors who might not have been able to have a prom when they were in high schools for fear of bullying, to have a prom now. This is an opportunity for us to raise our voices and raise visibility about who we are and why LGBTQ people are valuable citizens of Cleveland. I'm a Clevelander. I'm a proud Clevelander from Head Start to Case Western Reserve University, and I'm a Black lesbian feminist. I am a part of a community that is often targeted for crime and hate. One of the things that happened in our nation is the Pulse Night Club massacre and shootings. We, as a community in Cleveland, we feel the impact of the violence that happens across the nation, and we work hard to support our citizens. And you can see from some folks, I bet you can see, you can recognize Matt Zone, Councilman Matt Zone in the photo, that we're supported in our community, and we come together and we advocate on behalf of having safety, acknowledgement, the right for employment, the right for opportunities to live in some of the places that you've seen freely and without violence or discrimination. I'm going to take Mayor Jackson's job one day, and that's not what this slide is about. What it's about is the opportunity that comes with support from the city of Cleveland. This is our LGBT Heritage Day celebration that just happened at City Hall, and you can see the diversity and the strength of our community. Councilman Carrie McCormack, a supporter and member of our LGBT community, Representative Nikki Antonio, and many others. Sally Tatnall is 80 years old and has lived in Cleveland and supported the LGBT community for a very long time. This is a great slide. You'll see that it's up here twice. I don't know why, but I'm going to talk about it twice because we're very proud to be have established the first LGBT civil rights historical marker in Ohio on West 29th Street, where the first LGBT Pride took place in 86, I think. I was there. Our city lights up because we are here and we're part of the city of Cleveland. The LGBT community is. We love it when the Terminal Tower has the rainbow signifying the city's support for who we are. We produce an event every year in Public Square for the last 2 years, and we want you to save the date for next year, June 2nd, 2018, Pride in the CLE. That takes place in the beautiful Public Square where we're out in front and visible and proud to be, Greater Clevelander. There's that slide again, where the center moved in 1999 to Gordon Square from West 29th Street, where the first Pride took place, where the first HIV support group took place in the living room at the center, so we're very proud. You've heard a little bit about the gay games, and I mentioned I really appreciate that. We couldn't be prouder. We are the first gay games where we actually made money, and there was a profit and an endowment established at the Cleveland Foundation. We had a ball, and we were able to show the nation that Cleveland is a safe place for LGBTQ individuals. We have our challenges, but this is a great place for us to live. I was just very happy that I didn't catch my hair on fire when I had the opportunity to hold the torch and pass it to the next person. That's me just having a sigh of relief from the amazing experience that we had here in Cleveland for the Gay Games. I can't do this presentation without acknowledging marriage equality being law of the land on June 26, 2015. We are right there on, I think that, I can't know if that's Mall C or Mall B, but again, representing who we are and the love that we have for each other and our right to be and celebrate that love right here in the city of Cleveland. I've always had a fantasy. I'm an East Sider, St. Clair true. I love Cleveland. I've always wanted to walk across the Superior Detroit Bridge. I didn't know that the opportunity would come by way of celebrating Pride. So we marched across the bridge in 2016 to celebrate Pride, and it was a huge success. And finally, these are the people that make it happen. These are people who identify as LGBTQ and A in this photo, and they're the staff of the LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland, and we want you to know that we're here, we're queer, we're part of your city. We love to inspire and contribute to Cleveland. Thank you.
She described herself as strong, and I've never seen somebody say, hey, Mayor, as soon as you retire, I'm taking that position. Wow, that was incredible. Moving on, and I just want to say on my sheet here, all kidding aside, the theme of that was inspiring. CLE means everyone. Without everybody, we have to be inclusive. We're not going to continue the growth in Cleveland, and I think that's a lesson we could all learn in today. I'm excited now to introduce Mike Kristoff. He's a well-known in Cleveland's architecture community through trade and volunteer activities. He's also worked on a variety of projects with various firms, ranging from the master plan for the Flats East Bank and helping design my nightlight, aka the Ernst & Young Tower. Come on down, Mike Kristoff, everybody.
All right. We've all been through it before. You pour your heart out, your soul into something, only to watch it go away too soon. We all know that in life things don't always go your way, but it's those moments when you go for something big and don't quite get it that make us who we are. Here in Cleveland, as is the case in many cities, we've had no shortage of developments that were supposed to catalyze a new era of growth and success. Today, I'm here to convince you that it's not whether or not a project goes forward that always matters, but we live in a city with people that have the vision and conviction to try something big to begin with. I moved here in 2005 as an architect to work on the master plan for the Flats East Bank. I was 23, I was young, I was impressionable, I was really, really fortunate to have the opportunity to work on such a transformative project so early in my career. And no short of other unbelievable developments that haven't necessarily all come to fruition, this one did, but all of them shape my personal view about what can be achieved in a city that dreams big. So I'm going to talk about a few of those projects. In 2010, a group of biologists, zoologists, marine species planners, and designers from all over the country got together to talk about what it would mean to create an aquarium here in Cleveland. We're a major metropolitan area, we have one of the world's largest bodies of fresh water, but we don't have an institution that explored what it means to be connected to the world's most precious resource. It was an amazing process to be a part of. We were at the table, this is like a really awesome slide for an architect. And we were at the table where they were really going into kind of institutional organizational development. They were acquiring planning specialists and partners, helping the group think about the right organizational structure for creating an institution that would last dozens, if not hundreds of years. At the same time, we were talking about how you design an institution like this to fit into a neighborhood and how we could drive activity in a way that supported the neighborhood without overpowering it. Think about Wrigley Field, kind of amazing part of the neighborhood, but maybe a little overpowering. This was the master plan at the time for the Flats East Bank with the aquarium kind of incorporated into it. The one thing the project didn't have going for it was timing. As we reached this point in the project, we had an organizational model that made sense. We had education and conservation partners and a building that we fell in love with, but the aquarium on the west bank of the Flats already had financing, and we didn't really have that quite yet, so this project kind of went away for a little while, well, forever. The next project I want to talk about is one that I think was on everyone's radar for a long time. It was in 2007, and the city of Cleveland was trying to figure out how to keep a little Cleveland-based company in downtown. And what was really interesting about this project was that it wasn't just the city that was trying to attract Eaton. It was a series of developers as well who all believed they had the right site for Eaton's future headquarters. And in 2007, we were probably halfway through fine-tuning the master plan for the Flats East Bank, and our developer came to us and said, you know, we really want to see what it would mean to incorporate a corporate campus into an expanded RTA loop. And our first reaction was like really? That's really what we want to do here? And then we started thinking about what a corporate presence would do for a neighborhood like this. And were there ways that we could think about connecting a corporate client to a development that needed foot traffic? It was important that we thought about how transit was going to connect to it, and it was important to think about how this many people might impact the neighborhood when you think about the restaurants and the businesses that are going to be in the area. An office user of this scale would generate enough foot traffic to really, really make an impact. But only if we were super thoughtful about how we connected the campus to the neighborhood. It couldn't be an inspiring walk from the office building to the restaurants. It had to be an exciting journey that kind of enticed people to come out of the building. And while it clearly wasn't in the cards for Eaton to make that decision, it was a few years later when Ernst & Young came to the table with Tucker Ellis West. and thought, wow, we want to be a part of that. Which brings me to a movie that I was in, not at all true, but there were a couple of local developers that reached out to our firm about an idea to create a new lakefront neighborhood anchored by an LA quality level movie production studio. And the idea was to kind of capitalize on the momentum of films being filmed here in Cleveland. And I think we all know this land, what would become of the land of the Brown Stadium, and in front of the Brown Stadium, the lake, has been a point of discussion for a while. And in 2013, the mayor of the city of Cleveland invited developers to submit their idea. Our team was focused on three big things: providing a meaningful and exciting anchor to the neighborhood, leveraging that anchor to create new jobs, and reinforcing the started, kind of initiated but unfinished cultural corridor. This was at a time when the film tax credit was beginning to yield real results for Ohio, specifically also Cleveland. With the work of Ivan Schwartz and his team, there had been over 230 productions at the time shot in Ohio. But every time a production came here, we'd realize 20 of maybe $120 million worth of value because post-production was being done elsewhere. And with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Science Center and the First Energy Stadium already on the lakefront, the groundwork for this kind of cultural corridor had already been laid, and what was really missing was something that would connect all of those investments to a new neighborhood. And so we started thinking about how to plan it. If you look on the master plan here, the production studios are in purple. We tried to integrate it into the neighborhood. It was lined by retail, it had a film school above, and you could see all the action on the back lot between where the studios were and the Mather, which is kind of shown there on the right of the diagram. So this project didn't move forward, but I'll explain to you why it's okay later. This is probably the project that most people don't know about at all. It was designed for a luxury residential condo anchored by one of the world's few Ferrari dealerships. Local car guru Bernie Moreno had visions of putting Cleveland on the car dealership map worldwide with this development and tower. And while it never moved forward, I just loved how ambitious the plan was. It always inspired me to think about possibilities. So after 15 years working on projects like this, I get asked all the time, like, how is this not depressing? How do you reflect on this and not be upset that they didn't go forward? But I always felt that it was these kinds of projects and these opportunities to work for people that thought big that really helped me reflect on what's possible when you really push the boundary. This project, which I showed at the beginning, is a kind of model of the Frank Gehry Tower for Progressive Insurance. And while it never happened, it was a vision of Frank Gehry, but they were partnered with Westlake Ring Viscosity locally. And an architect, now developer, Dick Pace, was a partner at the firm. And he got to watch how Frank Gehry thought about the lakefront and how he thought about the lakefront. Dick is now responsible for developing the lakefront, and he is someone that knows how to dream. So when I think about all the projects that I've worked on that never got built, I don't let it get me down. I allow it to motivate me. I consider each of these moments a point along the way, a learning experience that's preparing me for what is in store in the future, living in a city filled with people that know how to dream big. Thank you.
Our next presenter is a social media star and a comedian, and I was scrolling through his Twitter just to give you a thought of what he does. This was his tweet from 7 hours ago. Donate to Rake now. Now, Rake is random acts of kindness. He got scared at first. Not those other tweets. He did break a nail 2 hours ago. He tweeted about that as well. That's true. Are you good? You better?
I'm not, but I'm going to get through it.
He'll get through it. But he says, donate to Rake now, and I'm buying tickets for Friday's game, and simply help me find some veterans online who have never been to a game or in need of tickets. So that's what Rake is all about. It's the little tiny things in life that go a long way. Random acts of kindness everywhere. And Smith helps others who struggle as he once did. He went from being homeless to starring in McDonald's commercials and new pilot on travel. So I'm honored to introduce Ricky Smith.
Last, but probably least, I'm going to talk about myself for a little bit. This is myself, Ricky. Any single women out here? Any chicks? Okay, not that many. I'm changing my whole stilo. So I am the founder of an organization called Random Acts of Kindness Everywhere. Born in Cleveland, went to university school. Born and raised in Warrensville Heights, Ohio. Had the privilege of, that's me. I was going to go the whole spill of how I was born in West Philadelphia, born and raised, the playground where I spent most of my days. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. I grew up in a two-family house, normal kid, decent life, and had the advantage of enjoying Cleveland. I was born in the 80s, so I was around the time when the drive, the fumble, things of that sort. But I actually love pizza. I love all kinds of pizza. I literally eat pizza twice a day. It doesn't matter what toppings are on the pizza. It could be, this is one I actually made myself with pepperoni, sausage, mushroom, green pepper, onions. But any type of pizza from any place, it doesn't matter. I love pizza. Pizza. This photo right here, it's all gonna tie in together. This photo is actually my wedding. So, met a young girl at Cleveland Clinic during her residency. We got married and moved to San Diego. At the time, I actually knew nobody in San Diego. Me and my ex-wife got married and moved to a new city and all of this stuff in a matter of a year. She got deployed twice, and we actually got divorced. But this is a good time. These are my best friends. During that time, I became a social media guy, where I would go out, I didn't do it on purpose, I would go out and I have these drinks. I would drink water. There's a young lady here in the audience, a kid. This is water, apple juice, lots of apple juice. But I would tweet, and all these people would follow my Twitter. I went from 600 followers to 10,000 followers to 15,000 followers, and these people would every week try to figure out what I was doing, where I was going to drink water. When you first moved, I had moved to LA, and I did background work. As you can see, that is my big break. I was on Scandal. That's my top lip. And a woman by the name of Tashina Arnold, she played Pamela Martin, and Everybody Hates Chris, the mom, David Spade, all these people thought I was funny from Twitter, and asked me who I wrote for. I told them I wasn't a writer. They go, well, maybe you should be a writer. I said, I don't know. Ended up living in my car. This is the car I lived in. While I'm struggling to figure out what I'm doing, I don't know who I am, I didn't realize what TV writers made. I'm living in this car, the car just got repossessed. So this is actually my house, my entertainment system, my automobile, et cetera, et cetera. Car's gone, they took everything, so now I'm really trying to figure out what to do. At the time, I'm literally, my mom and dad, I have a sister who was the head of First Energy at the time, another sister who's a doctor. I kept seeing signs like this. Mind you, I'm broke. I don't have a dollar to my name, I could have come back to Cleveland, but I'm in LA. Kept seeing these weird things, I'm going, you know what, this is great, but how's this helping me? I have no money, no whatever. I'm funny, got all these followers, I have no idea what to do. Started watching a show called Naked and Afraid. And I don't know if you guys seen it, but they take people and put them in the middle of nowhere and see if they can figure it out. And at this time, I had 20 bucks left in my name. I bought pizza. I gave it to a homeless person. I actually did a homeless pizza party and I tweeted it. How cool would it be if everybody in the world did a homeless pizza party? It went viral. People in other cities started doing the same thing I was doing. It went from 8 people, 10 people, 30 people, 100 people to doing this thing. And I thought, how cool would it be if I started an organization? Little I know, the next day, I got a call from Comedy Central and Cartoon Network that I had a job being a TV writer, making decent amount of money. But I wanted the story to be out of Cleveland. At the time, it was a gentleman, had people locked up in the basement. There was an RTA worker doing some things on a bus, hitting somebody. I thought, how cool would it be, though, instead of starting a nonprofit, to start it out of Cleveland. I wanted to go cross-country with nothing but a cell phone ID, doing different random acts of kindness, allowing my Twitter followers to tell me what to do, where to go, with nothing. I wanted to inspire and motivate people to say, you can do anything. You don't have to be rich, you don't have to be famous, you don't have to be whatever. A gentleman in Cleveland who I never met was actually from Dubai, told me if I can get to Cleveland, he would give me this car for a month to drive cross country. A woman who was an airline stewardess who was also a follower goes, I'll give you a buddy pass to let you fly to get the car. I go, okay, this is actually getting real. I gotta do this. I fly to Cleveland, pick up this car. I had never met the guy at the time. Started doing acts of kindness. I had every city I would go to, different followers would give me suggestions on things to do. Nothing, I had 2 rules. I couldn't ask for anything and I couldn't say no. We set up a PayPal account and people would donate money, but what it was people were inspired and motivated to follow my lead. I'm a comedian, I'm a funny guy, so still things with humor, whatever. This is actually my buddy Troy. We actually played music on the street together. Again, this is a photo with me and a bunch of kids. Somebody actually asked me in Phoenix to go hang out with kids for an hour and give all the teachers a break. Side note, I don't know if you guys went to Phoenix, but it's about 104,000 degrees in the summer. This is me actually playing hide go seek. There's no place to hide, just a place to go seek. This is for an hour. It's been about 4 years. I've done 9 cross-country trips. It's been amazing. We do something called Socktober. We've raised, socks are the most requested, least received thing in homeless shelters. In 2 years, we've done over 200,000 pairs of socks nationwide. We hand out a lunch. We've actually done over 70,000 lunches. Actually, Frank Jackson himself, Mayor Jackson, saw me buying these things at Steelyard for the items. We hand out different things. I went to Ferguson, Missouri. Can you slow the spice down? Jeez. McDonald's gave an ad campaign because they picked it up nationwide, billboards, all these things. But a lot of the recognition I get, but it's coming from the people that, more so from Cleveland, anywhere else, that have stood behind me and got behind the movement, that has went national, international, where McDonald's, like I said, it was a billboard, the ad campaign, et cetera, et cetera. I did not get my own burger, but I did get a lot of burgers from there, if that makes sense. I was blessed to go because of not only just what I did in my comedy, but it's kind of twofold. So I get to appear on national, television shows like ESPN, His and Hers, and SportsCenter, because I coined myself the Cleveland guy. It's probably the first time I'm not wearing something in Cleveland. I have my hat on the floor, but no matter where I go, I want the story to always be there's a guy from Cleveland doing good. Charles Barkley. I don't actually remember where I put this slide up. I'm like you, instead of the dog, I just put random Barkley. But I say to say Serena Williams, Charles Barkley, David Spade, Adam Sandler, all these guys have got behind the movement. They're Rick supporters. They'll throw up a Rick, Jim Brown, name and name, et cetera, et cetera. Travel Channel actually reached out because they liked the premise of the show. They didn't like the kindness part, but they liked the part of the fact that I go across country not saying no, which is kind of weird, but anyway. We did a pilot, again, it came from social media, but the story, even then, I actually had to blur it out, but I'm wearing Cleveland everything. There's a Cleveland reference. Actually, first episode, we were supposed to shoot in Cleveland, but I'm definitely afraid of roller coasters, so we actually did it in LA. This is my mom and dad, and they make me happy. This is them on set. So I'm ending with this. It was a crazy story for me to be married to a doctor, get divorced, all this stuff. Every time I call my mom and dad about a crazy idea, here I'm getting this TV writing gig, now I want to go across country and help people. They've always stood behind me, even though they didn't know what they were doing. But that is random acts of kindness everywhere. Right now, like you just said, we're taking 100 vets to Browns game on Sunday, but it's just to motivate and inspire people. You can use social media to take selfies, to do good. That doesn't be this thing we're afraid of, and that's it. I really am injured, by the way. You see it? I'm played through injury here.
Wow. Give him another round of applause there. Mind me when I lower the mic a little bit. There we go. All right. So that concludes our program this evening. Let's give another round of applause to all of our incredible speakers this evening. All from different walks of life, but all with one common theme, and that is inspiring CLE. Now, as we mentioned before, another shout out to our sponsors, of course, for sponsoring this incredible event. The cocktail hour, everything that was involved in them. Thank you so much to our sponsors. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this was all put on by one MBA class, cohort 19. And I want to take a second to recognize them once again. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. I want to thank one member in particular, my buddy Brad Hansen, who asked me to MC this evening. I really appreciate it. I will get your PayPal account and I'll pay you later because this was really fun. This was quite a joy for me to host. Now, if you see what we have up here, we have the applause meter here, which maybe I'm talking really loud. I think that's something I mean. Okay, I'll be quiet. Nice, it works. So, for those that don't know this MBA class, wow, does it really work like that? Okay. This MBA class, the way it works is the better the applause meter, the better grade these students get. So, I mean, it works in every class. That's how I passed my college class. I thought so, at least. That's what they told me. So let's hear it for tonight's event and our That looks like an A, Professor. That looks like an A to me. Thank you so much. Get home safely. Drive slow in the snow, please. Everybody have a great night.